Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's CJ. Welcome back to episode 26 of the Innovative Marine 75 EXT Refilled. If you're new to the channel, go back, check out the playlist, get caught up on everything that's happened. This video, we're going to talk about a few different topics, including my experience over the last 7 months exclusively using the AquaForce Hybrid Pro Salt and the AquaForce Reef Salt, and kind of share my thoughts on it. Now, if you're new to the channel, I started off cycling the tank with the Hybrid Pro Salt, had issues with it being too effective, eventually switched over to the Reef Salt, and now we are going to be switching back to the Hybrid Pro Salt due to nutrients being too high in the system. So for those wondering what you're looking at, this is going to be the Be Eazy water change closet station, whatever you want to call it. But this is going to be where all the mixing happens as far as the new salt for the system. It mixes in here. We use a heater. You make sure it's set to the right temperature, and we also use a Simply Aquatics return pump to kind of help turn things and send it to the tank. And then finally, we have a Gyro 350 in the bottom of the can, which helps keep everything mixed up. So this is what makes water change for the Be Eazy Reef super easy. Definitely easy enough to want to do it every week like I've been doing. So for those that were curious, there's going to be a few steps involved as far as my nutrient export plan for the Be Eazy Reef. Starting with weekly water changes, which honestly I've been doing consistently over this entire tank's life, except for when I had that bout for Lingbaya. I didn't do water changes for around a month and a half trying to fight that off. But as far as normal routine, normal life of the system, we are doing weekly water changes. Now, most water changes just involve running the sump, around 10 or 15 gallons and refilling. But whenever I really want to make a large change, I do have to drain the display around halfway, which ends up being around 20 or 25 gallons or so. But whenever this happens, you got to take advantage of it and get a nice top-down look of the corals, kind of gauge the growth, loving the zoanthus on top of the Be Eazy peak, and then more importantly, just having the freedom to get in here and remove corals if you need to without, getting your hands wet or doing anything else when the tank's full. Now, when it comes to refilling, very easy. All I do is just go and kind of flip the switch in the Be Eazy closet and refill the sump, which also refills the tank. And this really doesn't take long. I mean, you're talking 5 to 10 minutes tops, and we're pretty much done. Now, as much as we focused on water changes in the display, we haven't really paid attention much to what's underneath the tank. It's going to be the Innovative Marine Nuvo 27 sump. This is what powers the Be Eazy Reef. And as you take a closer look, you will notice still have tons of sponges, not as many as I had before, but even more so, tons of detritus building up in the sump down below. Now, this is something that I've kind of noticed as the months have went by, but it is definitely getting to the point to where I feel like I need to do something about it. So we're definitely going to address that during this video, or at least some of it, and then we're going to address the rest and during a future water change. The main thing is just not over cleaning the sump and not making too drastic of a change, to affect the tank in a negative way. And that's pretty much what we're looking to do. So when it comes to the other export methods, of course, the Santa Monica Rain2 Algae scrubber is here. Now, I just turned this back on after around 4 months of being turned off. So it hasn't really grown much yet, but this is definitely part of the export plan. And it's something that, I've kind of had waiting when the time was right, when the tank was, a nutrient rich enough to justify the need for the scrubber, because once it kicks in and once it starts growing, it's definitely going to drop some things pretty quick. And then last but not least, the overflow coming back from the tank. Now, I believe in running an open system, meaning no mechanical filtration, but I did not really account for all of the media in these cups being completely clogged, and that is pretty much what has happened. So tons of flow through here. I have the return pump cranked up to 100%. I have tons of flow in the display, which also means tons of crap coming down the pipes into this media. So we're definitely going to have to get this addressed. When it comes to this hobby and having your own master plan, it's really hard to call an audible and make a change when the time comes. But in this case, I'm glad that I investigated further, pulled these cups out, and got a good look at just how caked up they were with detritus, fish waste, leftover food from the display. Pretty much any and everything that's made its way down the pipes has completely clogged this media. Now, the original thought was it was coarse enough to where it wouldn't collect so much, But over time, this is 6 to 7 months of collecting that has eventually completely clogged this media. Now, keep in mind, with this being biological media, it definitely needs water flow and access to all the nutrients, oxygen, and whatever else bacteria needs. So, with this being clogged and completely kind of shutting off the bottom half of the biomedia in the cup, I definitely had a negative impact on that biological filtration in the system. So I'm glad that I kind of did this investigation and noticed, what was going on in here. So hopefully, with it being unclogged, we're finally able to kind of get all the benefits that it was giving me at the beginning of this tank's life. Where the nutrients were well under control. Nitrophine bacteria had access to everything they needed, and then just everything was working. So for those wondering just how nasty this was, this is a look at the leftover water and the media that I could not keep in the cup, and the tons of detritus and just nastiness that was trapped in just those two filter cups. So that's just one part of this equation. The second part is going to be the detritus that's kind of stuck in the sump. And we're going to handle that the next water change. The goal of this water change was just to handle the immediate clogging in the filter cups. And we'll, siphon out the sump and shop vac and clean it up real good as time goes. So trying to prevent this from happening again, we're finally going to reintroduce some mechanical filtration to the Be Eazy Reef. I got a ton of this in the closet, and I just wanted to stick with my open system because I believe mechanical filtration removes the good and the bad. And unfortunately, in this case, I just kind of have to go with it until I come up with a better solution of having an open reef system without having the media clogging. So I may end up relocating the media out of the cups just to maybe filter bags and leave this part open to let water run through it. Who knows? We'll see, but for now, we definitely have reintroduced mechanical filtration, and we're going to let this do its job and catch all the nastiness, before it clogs everything up again. So the last thing we're going to address is going to be the skimmer on the system. Now, for those who don't know, this is going to be the Simply Aquatics DC 120 skimmer. It's kind of a mid-size, mid-tank size skimmer. Now, it's small, but it still has enough power to pull air through 30 feet of airline I have going outside to kind of help pH in the tank. And you can set this dry or wet, and it just keeps working. So, cleaning this thing regularly is part of the normal maintenance routine, but I figured I would share that with you all. And the last thing I want to speak about while we're down here, it's going to be something I did when I first set the tank up, and it's installing a pond liner underneath the tank and completely waterproofing the bottom side of the stand of this innovative marine tank. And I got to tell you guys, make sure you do it. No ifs, ands, buts about it. From all the accidental spills that I've had over this tank's life already in this, 6 or 7 months or so, it definitely does the job. So install one if you got one of these tanks, or even if you don't, put some kind of pond liner in the bottom of your stand and make sure you waterproof it. So for anyone new in the hobby, let me tell you this. As much work and labor we put into these tanks, when you get the opportunity to sit back, pour a glass of Be Eazy sauce, and just enjoy your hard labor, make sure you do that. Make sure you take a second to take in all the positive things going on in your reef tank to help recharge your battery, recharge your spirit for the next battles to come, because trust me, they definitely will come, especially in the first year of a reef tank's short life. Keep in mind, we are only 7 months in on the Be Eazy Reef. I can only imagine what's to come, but I'm really looking forward to the end goal. What this tank's going to look like year 1, year 2, as we finish growing this out. And for those that are curious, CJ, what is up with the nutrients? Why are you even having these issues to begin with? Well, it starts with the crazy stocking plan that I had for this tank to begin with. We currently have around 26 fish, multiple inverts in the tank, and on top of that, we have around 70 to 80 different corals in the system as well. So with it being a 75-gallon system, that is a ton of bioload that we're going to have to manage, that we're going to have to make sure we pay attention to as far as the import and the export of nutrients to kind of keep everything in play. This tank is not easy. It's the Be Easy Reef, but the way I have it stocked is definitely something that I cannot ignore, and I have to make sure I address it accordingly. So, what is going to be the ultimate plan? What's the ultimate new master export plan for nutrients? Well, with discovering that the sump being neglected as being one of the possible issues, we're definitely going to stay on top of keeping the sump clean and also doing everything we can to keep any detritus from building up in the crevices of the rock by turkey basting it and just making sure that everything is removed and not just setting left to kind of break down and decay into the tank, because the amount of fish in here is already adding enough every day naturally. So with that being the first part of the plan, the second part is going to be reintroducing the Aquaforest hybrid salt. Now keep in mind, in my last video, the Reef Tank Confessions, I mentioned that was a mistake using when I started the tank, and I believe it was. The tank was too young. I did not have enough nutrients to justify using it, but now we do. The tank's nutrients rose up to around 25 parts per million nitrates and around 0.77 parts per million phosphates. Since reintroducing the hybrid salt, we have now seen a reduction to around 15 parts per million nitrates and around 0.42 or so phosphates. And that was with one water change with that salt. So with that salt's main purpose being a probiotic salt to help control nutrients, it also has the benefits of amino acids, sugars. It's basically a carbon source to help reduce nutrients and also provide things for your corals. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to use it as needed. I don't believe it's going to be the end all be all for this tank's health, but as nutrients kind of get out of control, I can use the hybrid salt to kind of bring things down slowly and get them back within range. And then once things are good, we can switch back to the normal Aquaforest reef salt and kind of play that game back and forth. Now, I will tell you, if you're going to play that game, you have to make sure you are also playing the game of testing your tank and staying on top of tracking trends, which I'm also doing via my Apex, logging this information and keeping an eye on things as they happen. So that's gonna be the ultimate plan, guys. We're gonna make sure mechanically we're keeping things clean. We're also gonna make sure chemically we're benefiting the tank in as many ways as we can. So at this point, if you guys are interested in getting more frequent updates on the tank, make sure you go and slide by the Instagram channel, CJ's Aquariums. I do post there more frequently. And for those who are just on YouTube, don't worry, I got you covered. We'll be updating the tank as needed. So at this point, time to get out of here. So as always, hey, you guys can like, comment, subscribe. You guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing. Peace.